Hello friends, my name is Christopher and today we are going to be building this cedar firewood rack. I built this to hold about 2 to 3 cords worth of lumber. It's more than enough room for all the wood that we had scattered about our backyard. It's built with cedar 2x4s, a piece of 7/16 OSB for the roof with barrier and asphalt shingles on the top. The bottom is a 4x4 green treated skid with green treated 2x6s dimensional lumber, and the rest is, well, whatever wood you have. I also have this really nice addition that I did last minute, shelf for kindling and other small items that you don't want mixing and falling in between your wood. It was a super fun project. Much of it I made with some spare wood that I had from my great big shed build. Videos for that if you haven't seen it. Anyways, let's dive right in. Well, we get started by clearing all the space, and I'm putting this on some green treated 4x4 skids in the ground. I've got a whole long video on that. If you want to watch it, check out that card in the top right. I'm treating this like a movable structure essentially, so I'm not putting it in any concrete, on any gravel. Technically I could take a forklift and pick it up and move it. Just check what code is in your area. But like any project, you gotta have a good foundation. It pays to take your time, make sure everything is nice and level. And as I said in the opener, all of this material that is being built upon is green treated. Only the skids are in the ground, but the bottom parts are going to have earth touch them as cedar chips move around and dirt is there and rain, all that jazz. These boards are nailed in front and back, 3 nails each side, about 16 inches on center, a little less than that. It's overbuilt, but remember this is going to house a couple thousand pounds, depending on how dry or wet your wood is, and either way a cord weighs quite a lot. That's why I opted to go with dimensional lumber. It might be overbuilt, but hey, I got a high five. The beveling of the chop saw and my table saw off screen was really beneficial to make sure I had that 22.5 degree. 2 of the long boards in the front and the back had it running along the top. In fact, this one that I'm putting on does. And you'll see the angles everywhere else. This part only took a day, and had I probably written it out, it would have gone a little bit quicker, but the way I do things is I go cut by cut and see exactly, what length I need to make things. That way I can account for any kind of error that accumulates. It's nice. As this day of building came to an end, I decided to use some scraps to add a decorative touch and maybe some structural support as well. And then the next day I woke up nice and refreshed and put on the walls. There's an outer wall on the left, outer wall on the right, and I decided to do a sub wall in the middle. You'll see why I've got some small wood on the left and big wood on the right. But when that was all assembled, I opted to go with a sprayer to put on an oil-based deck finish. Really excellent. I can't recommend it enough. I've done projects before where I have to put this on by hand and the sprayer goes so quickly. Putting up the roof lastly was easy peasy. I've got a whole bunch of videos if you want to hear me talk about this in greater detail. They're from the shed build earlier this summer. But this is all leftover materials for me. Leftover underlay, leftover drip edge, leftover shingles. And I tell you, doing this one 4x8 sheet of plywood roof is so much easier than my big 8x12 shed with a 10/12 roof. I think if you plan this out really well, you could do it in 3 days. That was my original intention. Day 1, the foundation, day 2, the support, and day 3, the roof and filling. It ended up being 6 days for me just because of materials on hand and the way the weather worked out, but it's a very straightforward project. Oh yeah, you gotta clip off those nails. But it's fun. My daughter really wanted to play in it one last time. It was her stage before we filled it up with wood. They're quite satisfying. I had wood in different piles all over our backyard. It's nice to get it in one spot, off the ground, covered with good airflow from the front and back and all around. Really satisfying. As I was doing this too, I came up with a last minute design element. You can see I've got some twigs at the top left there, and I hated it because they were already falling in between the rest of the pre-cut wood. So I took some scraps and I decided to add a shelf on the left there, and of course I had to do the oil stain by hand for this last minute addition, but it was incredibly worth it. I highly recommend this kind of project. It's really approachable. You can do it with all sorts of lumber. You could save a boatload of money if you just went with scraps or dimensional lumber. Cedar, of course, has a premium, especially right now. But, you know, pros and cons to everything. I love the cedar for the look and the longevity of it. But do what you need to do and you'll feel good about it. I'm really satisfied with the way this turned out. It's nice to have all of my wood in one spot with a lot of nice airflow to dry and that roof to additionally keep it dry. It just looks nice too, you know. Have you built anything like this before? What do you think I did right? What do you think I did wrong? Leave a respectful comment down below. What do you think of how I angled the roof? Should it have gone this way instead of that way? I don't know. There's so many different ways you can make one of these. I'm really satisfied with what I chose. The research was worth it. And I know that this will last a long time. I hope you subscribe if you're new. Lots of good content. Otherwise, take care, guys. Happy building.